if you don't live on Twitter like I do, you didn't see the K-State 5-layer beef burrito guy who, after our friend at Florida State promised to eat a dog turd, this gentleman agreed to shove a 5-layer beef burrito up his keister if K-State lost to BYU. BYU wins the game and tweets out, "Live Moss."
The hero we need, but we do not deserve.
Yeah.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Ride the Pine. I am Sean Sproat, one of your 3 hosts. Let's bring in our other 2 hosts. So starting off, despite being in his late 30s, he uses the phrase "no cap" unironically. It's Adam Freeman.
I don't think I've ever said that.
I got a $5 bill that says Adam doesn't know what no cap means.
I have no idea what that means.
That's no cap. And he's had more head injuries than Tua, but less than Antonio Brown. It's Kenny Hutton.
Bro, what did I do to you? The last week it referenced P. Diddy.
Hold on. I come up with these and then I flip a coin. Okay?
You could have flipped those and it would have definitely made more sense.
That's probably true, actually. Yeah. So guys, it's our 55th episode. So if you equate that to birthdays, that means the show has officially reached senior citizen status. So it begs the question, which one are you looking more forward to? The insurance discounts at 55 or finally being able to enjoy the early bird special at Denny's with no shame?
I didn't know Denny's still exists, so I'm going to go with the decrease in insurance.
I just hope we can start collecting Social Security at some point so that we can start making money off this damn thing.
Never.
That might not be around by the time we hit it. We'll find out. Yeah. Pregame tailgate. Kenny, start us off.
All right, guys, this is the best thing we saw all week. I've got 2 things for us. If you don't live on Twitter like I do, you didn't see the K-State 5-layer beef burrito guy who, after our friend at Florida State promised to eat a dog turd, this gentleman agreed to shove a 5-layer beef burrito up his keister if K-State lost to BYU. So the best thing I saw involving this is not only is this guy living up to what he said currently, BYU wins the game and tweets out, "Live Moss."
Beautiful.
Beautiful stuff.
The hero we need, but we do not deserve.
Yeah. The second thing, I'm getting ready to watch it. The Vince McMahon Netflix documentary on I said Netflix already. Comes out this week or came out today. It was reported on, I believe, Monday. Correct, Adam? Vince McMahon attempted to purchase the Netflix documentary to shelve it because of the info that comes out. I can't wait.
I think the best part about that is that if he offered to buy it and Netflix said no, it's got to be good.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
My best thing I saw this week is we are officially less than 2 weeks away from backyard baseball officially coming back. Boys, 13 days. The Fighting Wombats will ride again. We're so close.
What's that coming out on?
I mean, I'm getting it on Steam, but I'm pretty sure you can probably get it on like PlayStation, Switch, anything.
What was the little kid with the backwards hat who like just yanked home runs? Pablo?
The GOAT? Pablo Sanchez?
Yeah.
There's controversy around Pablo Sanchez. I don't know if you knew this.
Was he not of legal age?
Well, the thing is that in the dialogue in the first game, he's supposed to be like, a Spanish-speaking Hispanic player, but you find out that he is not, in fact, Spanish, that he learned Spanish in school. So that's a lie right there. And also, he knows full English. He doesn't tell the other teammates that he knows English, so he's lying to his teammates.
Look, that's just strategy, especially as a catcher.
Strategy is always very good as a catcher.
Would agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Adam.
Mine is, as of today, Team USA finally does something strong in golf. We are up 5-0 on the international team in the President's Cup. Scotty Scheffler yelling at his best friend. He actually has emotion, it turns out, while on a putt after he sinks one. I think it was like a 20-foot putt, turns around and screams at Tom Kim. Just sign this team up for the Ryder Cup, boys. This team will bring it home.
When Adam talks golf, I imagine it's what everyone else hears when I talk soccer. It's just all of these random trophies and tournaments that I've never heard of, and all these guys that I don't just a little bit about that I've heard in like the zeitgeist before. And it's just like, yeah, okay, sure, sounds great.
Remember, Ryder Cup is America versus Europe. President's Cup is America versus everybody.
Okay.
And it's not the same people. Like, there's not very many people from Europe included. You would think they would throw a couple of those in, but
it's really a lot of like the other golfers, like the Japanese golfers. It is Ansar, or however you say his name, playing for them this year.
I don't know if he's in it, but Adam Scott's in it. He's Australian. You've got Tom Kim. I forget what country. I think he's representing South Korea. Sunjae Im is on the team. So you got a lot of, it's not just Europe. Like, it's literally probably everybody but Europe.
Oceania.
First topic.
All right, let's jump into NCAA NFL picks. Reviewing from last week. Let's start with the NCAA. Week 4 is what we're in. I think they have week 0. That might actually mean we're technically in week 6. I don't know. They call it week 4. Last week was a rough one for your hero. I went 1-4 or 1-3. My only one correct was Tennessee. Sean, again, not so great. NCAA football is just not your forte.
It's really not.
Not good.
I want it to be. I do. Yeah. It's just not.
You want to try. Yeah. So last week you went 1-3 as well. You had Tennessee. Kenny, the opposite. 3-1. Your only miss was USC, which USC, I don't want to say they laid an egg at Michigan, but they laid an egg in Michigan. Like, that team should not have lost that game, but whatever.
They should have destroyed Michigan.
Yeah, for sure. So week 5, our games that we're picking this week. Northern Illinois is a 6.5-point underdog at NC State. Louisville is at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 6.5-point favorite. Georgia at Bama. Somehow that game is 2 points. I don't know how that game is 2 points. I don't think that Bama stands a chance in that game, but we'll see. Illinois at Penn State. This is the fun one, guys. 19-point favorite for Penn State. So going through the picks, I have Northern Illinois to cover 6.5. Notre Dame, Georgia. Sorry, I got stuck reading. And then I picked Illinois covering 19 points. Kenny, you and NC State, Louisville, Bama, and Illinois. Not bad picks. I think those are pretty good. And then, Sean, you've got NIU, Louisville, Georgia, and Illinois. The most important part of this is that our total so far, out of 16 picks, I have 10 correct. I've been on a rather cold streak the last 2 weeks. Kenny, you're at 8. Sean, you're at 5. We have a potential for a new leader after this week. Kenny and I could flip places. So
excellent.
Nice week there. Let's jump to the NFL. Last week, we had Kansas City, 3.5-point favorite at Atlanta. Jacksonville at Buffalo, a 5-point favorite, and then Washington at Cincinnati. They were a 7.5-point favorite. I had went 4 for 4, so football or pro football, not too bad. Right now, I'm 10 out of 12. I had Kansas City, Buffalo, Washington, and my big dog of the week was Green Bay at +2.5. That was easy money. I don't know why. I think Kenny, you jumped on that one too.
Oh yeah.
Kenny, you also went 4 for 4. You had Kansas City, Buffalo, Washington, and Green Bay as well. And then, Sean, you went 2 of 4, Kansas City and Buffalo. Your misses were Cincinnati. They did not cover 7 points. And then you had the LA Clippers at +2.5, and they got spanked.
Yep. I don't have anything to say there. Just not great.
Rough week. So totals on that one, like I said, out of 12, I have 10. Kenny, you have 8. And Sean, you have 7. So a much better score. We're much more respectable when it comes to the NFL.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
You know, the thing with the like these first 4 or 5 weeks of college football is some of these spreads are
they're tough.
Yeah, like
they're tough.
I do a survivor pool on the Rivals Mizzou board, and like you're picking games that are like -38.5 and 29.5, and you're just like, where do I go here?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's a crapshoot. Once we move into everybody's in conference play, it'll be a lot. I think the picks will get cleaned up.
I think so too. So week 4 NFL, we're picking Dallas at New York, the Giants. That game is going on as we speak. Dallas is a 6-point favorite. Buffalo at Baltimore. Baltimore somehow is a 2.5-point favorite at home. That one shocked me. Tennessee at Miami. Miami is a 1-point favorite. Basically pick them right there. And then Seattle at Detroit. Detroit is 3.5. I have Dallas, Buffalo, Tennessee, Detroit, and my big dog is Saints at +2.5. I think they win that game outright.
I like that. Yeah.
Kenny, you've got Dallas, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit, and then you picked Minnesota at +2.5, and they're at Green Bay, correct?
No, hold on.
I thought they were at Green Bay.
Let me go to ESPN Bet and find out, because I remember that one stood out. I was like, oh man, Minnesota +2.5 seems like easy money right now.
Sean, your picks while Kenny's looking that up. You have Dallas, Baltimore, Tennessee, Detroit, and Jacksonville at +6.
Yeah.
After they just got absolutely throttled by 30.
I feel like it can't happen back-to-back weeks, which is why I went with that pick.
So Minnesota is playing Green Bay. So,
and if you recall back to whenever we picked like our actual like division winners and playoff winners and everything, I picked Jacksonville to sneak into the playoffs. At some point, I have to ride the horse and just go with it. So
that's been my issue when we get Detroit that pops up. I'm like, man,
right,
Detroit for the North.
Right.
Can't go against it. Maybe they win, but they don't cover. But when I only get 2 points, I don't know what to do there.
Yeah.
All right, so next topic, let's jump to the world of college football. Let's kind of stick with football trend. Kenny, tell us what's going on at UNLV.
So, man, there's a lot to unpack. They have gone, 3-1, I believe.
I think they're undefeated, aren't they?
Are they undefeated? Yeah, they're undefeated.
I think they're
sorry.
3-1.
So, I'm looking up his name because I'm going to butcher it. Hold on real quick.
Matthew Sluka is what I'm going with.
Matthew Sluka announced on Twitter, apparently at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, that he would be taking his red shirt and leaving UNLV because of NIL issues. He claims that he had a verbal commitment for $100,000 and has not been paid. And UNLV is claiming that they don't have this written. There was never an agreement in place, and he is taking his red shirt and leaving the program with intent to transfer. I think there's two things that when it comes to college football, we have to really kind of unpack with the NIL stuff. Obviously, there's tampering issues. I haven't watched a lot of UNLV football. I'll be honest. I watched them beat KU. Great. But tampering is going to be a huge issue. Every program that's losing people is claiming that the kids who left, and especially a lot of these kids can do no contact, which is basically I'm hitting the portal. Nobody can talk to me. I know where I'm going, which implies to a lot of these fan bases that somebody's clearly tampered with them. So yes, that is a huge issue. Locally here, Mizzou had 2 really big kids come in. Toriano Pride, who was a 4-star cornerback, went to Clemson, played, left, came to Missouri without a visit. Same with Caden Green. Left Oklahoma, came here, and everybody's talking about, Eli's tampered with him. But the other way is always is the reverse too, right? Like Mizzou fans got all butthurt when Dominic Lovett left and went to Georgia. And those are just 3 local stories to us here in Missouri. Well, at least me and Adam in Missouri. I think the other big issue to unpack is that these kids are taking a huge risk. And whether that's hiring an agent who wants to speak for you, and obviously an agent's role is to get you the most money possible. And that's what it sounds like this kid did. Is 2 games into the season, 3 games into the season, he hired an agent, and this agent basically tried to strong arm Barry Odom and his staff. You look bad twofold, right? Like he abandoned his team, and I don't think this kid will ever get another opportunity to play Division I college football again.
So UNLV is 3-0. They've had some good wins. They beat Houston, they beat Kansas, but this kid is not like a world beater.
No.
He in 3 games, he's 21 for 48. He has a completion percentage of 43.8%. You can't sit here and tell me that kid is going to redshirt for the rest of the year, and then not just big schools, but schools are going to come knocking next year.
Not with him. They met with his backup because apparently his backup is better.
Yeah, so UNLV's fine. Probably like, fine, man. Go ahead. We won 3 games with you. We can win the next 3 without you. Like, we can win the next 8 without you. Like this is a bad decision. And it's like, even if he had the stats to back it up, and like, obviously we're not there. We're not in on the discussions. We don't know what was promised and what wasn't. You do not abandon your teammates 3 games into a season. You just don't. How many times do we dog coaches for taking jobs and abandoning their programs and their kids after 10 weeks or after 11 weeks? And this kid is doing basically the same thing, trying to strong arm and go to a different program after 3 weeks. No, not cool.
I think I got 3 things on it. 1, that kid leaving the team is unforgivable. I think that's the best word I can use to label it. If I was any team, if I was on any team that he wanted to try to come to, no way in hell I'm bringing that kid in. No way in hell if I'm on any coaching staff, even like grad assistant, I want that kid in my locker room. No way in hell. Like, you just blackballed yourself. You're not going to be getting, like Sean said, you're not going to be getting a place. You might go play Lindenwood, like low level, FB, FCS, whatever it is. Number 2, they have to fix the transfer rules. They have to adjust it in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that would be. I don't know if it's minimizing it. I don't know if it's you get a certain amount to do it, or certain criteria has to be met to be able to do it, or whatever it is. But they have to fix it. NIL is probably in there too. That's a totally different topic. I think that to each his own, which brings me to number 3. I didn't think of it this way until I heard it this afternoon on the Fast Lane. I believe it was with Kerry Davis that said it. So shout out to those guys. The point was, these guys that are bouncing around don't tend to be the guys that are going to be top picks. You've got the guys like DJ, you're going to need to know how to get a new job. You've got all these like random defensive linemen, random offensive linemen, and not that they're bad, but these guys that go, 3 schools in 3 years. The kid from USC that was he was a 5-star prospect, right? Number 9 in the nation a couple years ago. He transferred high schools 3 times, and now he's going to be transferring a 3rd time. He was at Georgia. Now he is at USC, and he was at USC, and now he's sitting out and redshirting again, and he's going to go into the transfer portal next year. He's not been that great when he's been on the field. So, like, that's the part that started to make sense when I started thinking about it, because you got to make your money when you make your money. All 3 of us have other jobs. All 3 of us would love to make more money. And if you ever tell me that you don't want to make more money, something's wrong. Like, something's not triggering, because that's every human. So for these kids that are not going to go to the NFL, I can't really be mad at them for finding the next school that wants to pay them more money. Was that kid going to go from UNLV to Georgia and get a $3 million NIL like Quinn Ewers has? No, not a chance in hell. But is he going to get 100,000, or he was getting, I think it was 300,000 from UNLV? Maybe, but don't do it in the middle of the season. Like, that's where it comes back. You got to finish your season out. Like, I even get pissed off when guys don't play in bowl games, and it's going to be really interesting with the college playoff now being I guess it's technically 4 weeks, right? with how it divides out if you play through all national championship. It's going to be interesting to see how those kids that are normally playing a 13-game schedule now could be playing a 17-game schedule in certain division or certain conferences. Are they going to sit out? I mean, they're playing more games than the guys in the NFL. Are they going to sit out because they're worried about health and they want to get drafted, or they're potentially going to be going into the portal next year? That's where it's going to get really interesting. I see both sides of the coin. It just needs to be restricted. That's what needs to happen.
I think the answer would probably be you have to have 1 year with the program as a non-red shirt. After then, you can enter into the transfer portal. You have to have at least 1 year. Like even if you redshirt, then that's fine. Then guess what? Next year you still are beholden to the program. And then after that second year, then you can transfer as your heart desires. Maybe that's it. But I don't know if the answer to that is then you keep the same rules to the second team that they go to, where they can't they have to have 2 years of service or something. I don't know how that looks, because I think we're all on the same page where more power to the players, right? They're student athletes. They're also employees. Like, make your money, man. Like, especially in such a violent sport, you're going to have such a short career. Make your money, do what you got to do. But this feels like an extraordinary circumstance. This is not something that's going to set a trend for me. Like, I'm seeing a lot of articles that are saying like this is the first of many. I don't think that's the case, because he's not going to play anywhere next year. I don't think we're going to see this.
I do think it sets a trend. I think it does. Like, I think that, again, you're going to have a lot of guys that are mid-level that are not getting NIL, or not getting a lot of NIL. Let's put it that way, because pretty much every player is probably getting something at this point.
Yeah.
That think they want more. I mean, truthfully, I deal with it every day at work. Every single employee. I need a little bit more money. If I'm not going to get a little bit more money, I'm going to go find somewhere that will.
Yeah, but someone's got to be advising these guys that if you do what this kid is going to do, you're not going to make more money. You're going to be selling cars in 6 months.
Maybe, but there's always a team that wants to get somebody. I mean, he may not be playing D1. He might be going down to FCS, but FCS still has NIL too.
Yeah. I think the easiest thing that the NCAA could do to rectify some of this, I like the free transfer once.
Yeah.
If the issue is that they're not supposed to do it again, but the NCAA feels powerless, so they're allowing a lot of this to happen. Usually for someone to transfer again, it's got to be almost a hardship, or they've got to be in a grad program. You occasionally see that where the 5th or 6th year guy, if they got a medical red shirt and then had a freshman red shirt, whatever it is, can freely transfer. I think what you would need to do is basically eliminate in-conference transferring. And I say that as somebody whose defense the last 2 years has been built on transfers based out of like kids who weren't going to play at Florida and Georgia and just wanted an opportunity. I don't want to say that there needs to be a salary cap, but I almost feel like there needs to be some kind of expectation, or truly do what NIL was meant to do, like put the regulation in place that it is not pay for play. It is not you come here, a booster will write you a check for $100,000. It is, I get it. I talk about Missouri a lot, but Missouri's got, from my understanding, a really good program. Is that there are some kids who will probably get paid straight out of the Every True Son Fund, but there is deals in place for these kids to, hey, Luther Burden, we're going to hook you up with emos and Sugar Fire and Schnooks. And now Luther Burden's the face of Nautica. Like, there are these deals in place that they can make. The rumor is Williams Winery is going to be like the spokesperson for Jack Stack. I don't know if that's true. That's on the other side of the state. But if that's the case, then there is a reason to keep people in the state, right? Or at the school they're at. hey, Williams Winery, you're arguably the best player to ever come out of Kansas City. We're going to make you the spokesperson of one of the best barbecue places there. Here's the catch. You got to stay here 3 years. I think the programs you've noticed there's not a lot of kids transferring out of, Ole Miss, Missouri, even Tennessee. I mean, there's a little bit coming out of there, but like, look at the kids flocking these blue bloods and just leaving. I think it's higher than ever. And I think that's part of the issue too, is it scares a lot of these national talking heads and a lot of the business based on the blue bloods is when you see guys leaving those programs and going to the mid-levels, the Ole Miss, the Missouri, the Washingtons, name any other, program that you would call like could reach up there and punch a giant in the face every once in a while. That's what scares these people.
The other thing is
to death.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about NIL, taking it away from football, is what it is doing for Olympic sports, what it is doing for women's sports. Livy Dunn, how many people across college sports do you think have a higher NIL evaluation than Livy Dunn?
Nowhere, but I mean, she is almost
the difference is she's not going to go anywhere. She's not going to go and play professional gymnastics. And I'm not talking about the transfer thing, but it's so awesome because she's going to make $3.7 million doing what she does. Mizzou has an NIL fund for their gymnastics, and their gymnasts are making, I think I heard somewhere in the range of like 500,000 NIL. So it's NIL is a good thing. Like, don't get me wrong. It is a good thing to have. It's allowing these kids that are doing something for a university that does generate revenue to be able to make some of that money back. And it's allowing them, like Livy Dunn is literally returning back to LSU so she can get another $3.7 million. She would never do that outside of LSU. She wasn't even on the Olympic team.
I mean, let's call a spade though. Like, Livy Dunn is gorgeous.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. But there's a
ton of women's sports and baseball. Like, these guys aren't making the money the football players and the basketball players are making. That's where all of the NCAA's revenue comes from. Like, so she's probably the exception that proves the rule. Like, I don't know. I feel like referencing her is a hard case because not only does she have the talent, she's at a big school. She's absolutely gorgeous. And then she is also the fiance of Paul Skeens. Is that, or are they just?
I don't think they're engaged yet. Yeah, but I think it's allowing those athletes that are in non-major sports to be able to make some sort of money off of what they're doing. And I think that's the whole intent of it. So now it just so happens that football is the king when it comes to cash.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the whole point of this NIL is kind of to do exactly what you were just saying, right? To award these athletes, but also kind of to bring it into the light and out of the shadows. So to bring it back to Matthew Sluka at UNLV, he's saying the school is saying none of this is documented.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the problem then? Doesn't the school have some fault that none of this was documented?
Well, I think the issue is that he got his NIL from whatever it's like UNILV or something like that is their school fund. But apparently the conversation was that an assistant coach would get him an extra $100,000. And then I guess Barry Odom came to him at the beginning of the year, just before the season started, and said, hey, we're going to up your NIL and you're going to get $3,000 a month. So not only was he getting the payout that he was getting for the year of whatever, I want to say it was $300,000. But then he was also going to get $3,000 a month on top of that. And that was what spurred him starting to think, well, I'm worth more than $3,000 a month, which you break it out, it's only $36,000 a year. And that's just full year. That's not football season. Football season's 9 months. So he got pissed about that. And then he didn't get the $100,000 that the assistant coach told him. And that was what basically made him go dark at midnight.
I mean, there's a lot to be improved in NIL, right? Let's let's face it, but it's the first step of many, I think, and I think it's good for these athletes to get out there. And to your point, one of the first NIL events that I ever saw was we have an offensive lineman from here locally. He went to Howell Central, and right there by Howell Central, there's a bunch of restaurants, and he did his little tour because he couldn't do that before. And I mean, It was just an outreach to the community. Hey, I play at Mizzou. Come out and meet me. And that goes a long way for the communities, right? I mean, Adam and I both graduated from Howell schools in 2005. Did we have any athletes who went local?
No.
Now, I can only think of the guy after
Maybe
me,
a
Bart
couple.
Coslet, who graduated in 2006 from Howell Central and played at Mizzou. Other than that, like a lot of these local kids tend to leave. So if you can have these events and influence those kids when they're 10, 11, 12, be like, man, I want to be like that guy. I want to go play at Ole Miss because that guy plays at Ole Miss, or I want to play at Mizzou because that guy did. I mean, there are a ton of benefits for not only the athletes but for the universities, and they've got to figure out a better way. I think they need to get agents out of it too, in all honesty.
I think they only need agents if they are negotiating deals outside of the school. That's it. If you're negotiating a deal for, like you said, emos, schnooks, whatever locally, then you need an agent. But I think if the school has an NIL value or NIL payout, then you don't need it.
And it could also be – oh, go ahead, Kenny. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, with the agents, though, like, so Jackson Cantwell out of Nixa, Missouri is arguably the number one recruit in the 2026 class. He just hired Drew Rosenhaus. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Another answer could potentially be NIL deals specifically with the school have to be locked and completed by the first kickoff. You basically give like a free agency period, essentially. That this is the start, this is the end. If you do not meet a deal by this time, then there is no NIL deal. Like you have to meet this specific window. That could be part of it.
I do like that.
Whatever they do, it's important to me that like NIL is going to stick around for forever. Whatever they do with the transfer portal, whatever rules they put in place, it's important to me that whatever rule they make for the player, they make for the coaches.
Yep, I agree.
Because the coaching, transferring, hiring, and moving is out of control.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of out of control, let's jump to college football conference realignment. Because I think Pac-12 After Dark is back, baby. Rumors,
Hell yeah.
This week that Oregon State and Washington State have allegedly signed on, I believe, Boise State to come back in or to come into the Pac-12 or the new Pac-12. Right now, I believe it's only Pac-6. I think Colorado State has signed up. Fresno State has signed up. And potentially San Diego State and Utah State are all on board to start play 2026, right? I think is what they're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
Are we up for more craziness of who's going to stay and who's going to leave now?
Yes, 100%. Sign me up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I have here, just if you're curious, the definitive Pac-12 teams that should sign on to the Pac-12. Just if you're curious, I have that.
Okay, so hold on. I want to set a baseline. So with me bringing this up the other day, I want no rehashing of like the members that are gone. Like we don't get to say like, oh, try to bring Oregon back into the fold. And I get that there is the rumor out there that they're trying to lure Stanford and Cal back, but we're going to kind of put those two on the back burner. So if either of you gentlemen did select those, I want you to know, put those on the back burner.
Well, shit.
Let's do it this way, though. I think we need to each pick 4.
Okay.
I think we do it that way. That way we make our own right.
And then at the end, then I want to give like my ideal Pac-12.
Yeah, you can go with that.
What I feel like it should be.
Okay, so let's do this then. Let's each name the candidates we've selected. If we're going to narrow this down and make it Pac-12, let's name the candidates we've selected. And if we're going to each kind of like pick or, make our own conference as a group, let's hear who we've picked first.
And do you want to nominate one school at a time then?
No, I think
Sure.
just run through your 12.
Or run through your additional schools.
Yeah.
Okay. So first off, my rules are you have to be Pacific time zone, or pretty damn close to it, I guess. And my rule is there needs to be 12 teams in the Pac-12. There needs to be 10 teams in the Big Ten, and so on and so forth. I changed the damn name of the conference if that's not the case. So I went about this a completely different way than you guys than we were initially thinking. So you said we're removing California and Stanford. I can't put Oregon back in, and I assume I can't put like USC back in then, right?
This is playing with the deck we've dealt. We can't pick those cards. Those have been discarded, but I can look at the deck.
Okay. I want tell me if these count or not. I want Hawaii in the Pac-12. I want San Diego State.
San Diego State's already in the Pac-12.
Correct. They're going this year. So that was one of my So in 2026, excuse me. I mean, I have Washington State on my list. I have Washington. However you guys want to take that. So
okay, so here's what I'll say. I'm gonna just lay out the 5 candidates I've selected.
Okay.
Because we do have the 7 schools. My rule was going to be they have to have a state in their name because apparently Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, Colorado State, Utah State, Fresno State, San Diego State. I broke that rule for Hawaii. I think Hawaii is a great candidate for the Pac-12. I understand that news broke today that the Mountain West schools claim that they are not going to leave. Bullshit.
Yeah.
No way.
So Nevada, UNLV, and then my 2 knuckleballs, North Dakota State.
Oh yeah.
South Dakota State.
Man.
Yeah.
The perfect Pac-12.
That's a good one.
That is very good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
That is very good. I didn't even consider the Dakotas.
You guys all triggered mine except for one. And this school, it's not a football school. They are damn good at basketball. And that's Gonzaga, boys.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
I don't know how that works with football because I don't think they have a football team.
They do not. You would be the Pac-13 in basketball, and I love it. Sign me up, approved.
Yeah. I think that would be a fantastic one. I think Hawaii would also be a good one. I've heard rumors of Sacramento State. Part of what I like to envision is chaos with teams that are small. Or schools that are small being able to now have a potential chance to play in the college football playoff automatically. So you have I agree with North Dakota State, South Dakota State. I think UNLV probably pushes the limit on like size wise. Sacramento State would be fantastic. Fresno State would be fantastic.
How about a San Jose State?
San Jose State would also be a good one. You get San Diego and San Jose State in there. That'd be great.
Yeah.
The other one that I think is interesting, I don't think it happens because they just moved. Houston. That was another team that I had. They just moved from, I think, Conference USA to Big 12. I don't think they leave the Big 12. But they were another outlier of mine that I had listed that would be a fantastic pick for that Pac-12.
So I'm looking at it. UNLV is actually probably larger than you think it is. How many students do you think are enrolled at UNLV as of 2020?
I'm gonna look it up. I don't want to because I want to guess.
I'm gonna say 40,000. Big ass. That's a big city. It might be too big.
That feels too big. I'm gonna go 30.
It's 31.
Yeah.
So in size comparison to what I was looking at, because I did kind of go off the wall and was like, I would just raid the Big Sky Conference and the Mountain West, and I was looking at like. I'm not a huge fan of potential Air Force, so I disqualified them automatically. And that's nothing against anybody who's going into the Air Force. It's just the service academies to me feel like they should be independents, but that's neither here nor there.
No, they should be. You are correct on that. Yeah.
I was looking at like Idaho.
Apparently there's a really good chance that they are going.
I know. But their enrollment is a lot smaller than what you would present for a like major G5, G4 team. That's why I picked North Dakota and South Dakota, because they both have enrollment over 10,000. But like Montana and Montana State that actually do have really good football programs for Division II, they're all at like 8,000 students. And I just don't see how you can sustain that with those universities.
Yeah.
Nothing against them. I think they would be great, but you got to have the students there.
Yeah. It would be interesting though, if they're able to rebuild the Pac-12, does that put them back in the Power 5? Because now it's Power 4. ACC, Big 12, SEC, Big 10. And then they have it. Does that change the playoffs now? Then maybe now they have to go to 16 because now you have a Power 5.
It would have to.
They consider them like the Mountain West.
It would have to if you consider them one of the power conferences again because of the first round bye.
Right.
So the news being reported is that if the Pac-12 gets to 10 teams, I don't remember it. I have to verify that they would basically be granted the conference winner again. Now, I'm sure there's caveats, right? If they go and add the Montanas and Idahos and you're talking about, the 7 schools that are there right now are bigger schools. And if you add 5 small schools to beat up on, I'm sure that the NCAA says, hold up a minute. But if you go and add the right schools, even if you add smaller schools like North Dakota and South Dakota states, I think you could justify it. Now, the playoff expands in 2 years. It goes to 14. So you're talking about having 5 conference champions, 1 at-large bid for the G5, or excuse me, the remaining ones, the non-G5s, and then having 8 at-large bids. I think that's perfect.
So I have a question. Nobody brought up this school. They're always brought up when it goes to conference alignment. What about Notre Dame? If they're able to think about it though, if they're able to get a school like that as their charter school, the biggest name in that, and they say, you know what, cool, you can still keep your NBC TV rights.
Because I honestly think what's going to happen is Florida State is going to flee the ACC, and the ACC is going to come calling to Notre Dame and be like, look, you're basically in the conference already. We'll let you keep your deal.
Notre Dame plays in the Eastern time zone. As just a rule of law, I cannot allow this.
I will. Sean will allow Mountain time. He will not allow Eastern.
That is correct.
I'm just saying though, like I know that it's Pac-12. I know that it's out on the West Coast, but we have Cal and Stanford playing on the East Coast.
And I hate it. I hate it
I do
so
too.
much.
It's so awkward. Seeing USC
college football
should
be regionalized.
Oh,
I hate that it's not. All American sports should be regionalized. Now that we're at that point, all of them should redo all of the conferences, redo all of the divisions. MLB is the worst when it comes to this. College football is right up there with them. I hate it. Redo all of it.
Oh, come on. The Dallas Cowboys are in the NFC East. Give me a break.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
A point to Kenny's Florida State leaving the ACC. They're going to have to leave because since the guy didn't eat dog poop, that hurricane is going to destroy Tallahassee. And they're not going to have a school anymore.
So are we saying like the hurricane is basically like God smiting down this one guy?
Yeah. Yes,
I think it has
absolutely.
Because if you notice, it isn't going to Manhattan, Kansas. It's going straight for Tallahassee.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Adam, most hurricanes do not go to Manhattan, Kansas.
Well, despite what my kids think, you're right.
So, are we done with Pac-12? Do you want to give like your definitive list of what you like? If you had your perfect Pac-12, who cares if they just moved or not? Like, do you want to give that?
I mean, if you presented me that I can wave a magic wand and go back in time before the 4 schools, USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon leave.
Mm-hmm.
I leave the Pac-12 as it is. I let Colorado leave, and I add Boise State and Hawaii.
Yep.
And that is your perfect Pac-12.
Yep.
So I would go. I would not have Boise State in mind. I have Washington State, Oregon State, California, USC, UCLA, Stanford, San Diego State, Hawaii, then Arizona State.
Wouldn't that give you 15 teams, though?
I believe no.
Gonzaga. I'm with Kenny. I would not have changed anything other than Colorado leaving. That's really what they should have done. If they wanted to go out and have the biggest revenue that they possibly could and draw the most attention, you get rid of Colorado and you add in Boise State.
So hold on. Let me fix my perfect Pac-12 because I leave it where it was at because I forgot that Utah was there. So Colorado doesn't leave. Utah stays, Colorado stays, the Big Ten schools stay, and you add Boise and Hawaii. And I think
that too.
I think that is, while it doesn't compete with the SEC, that's a damn good football conference.
Yeah.
It's a damn good basketball conference too.
However you would do it, you have to maintain the rivalries in the major sports. So doing that would do that. That would keep Colorado. That would keep Utah. That makes sense.
I mean, I love the realignment, but I also hate it because my biggest rival doesn't play us anymore, and they refuse to play us
until next year.
But I actually don't miss them as much as I thought I would. Right, like the new rivalries with Arkansas and then Oklahoma coming back into the fold are perfect. They're just what I need. And
but you can't tell me it's the same, though.
It's not. I don't get to tell kids they're adopted anymore, which was something I did at a KU MU basketball game. That kid was like 6.
I think that I think you're right. The only thing that I would say though is that, well, I wouldn't change it. What I would say is that the best part about it is that the trash talk of you play in the Big 12 still, you're not good enough to go anywhere else is fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't believe you told a child that is not yours that they are adopted.
The awkward silence.
It was actually the exact quote was, "Your mother doesn't love you, you're adopted."
How many years ago was this? Because that kid is probably like entering college or nowadays.
That would have been my freshman year, because freshman year in 2005, they beat KU because a center by the name of Christian Moody couldn't hit 2 free throws at the end of regulation. Hearn Center was practically coming down, Mizzou Arena. It was so loud. And he missed these, and we beat him in overtime. And I walked out, and I turned to my buddy Jim, and I said, "I don't think it's going to get better than this." And I never went back to another basketball game.
And you were probably right.
I didn't go back to a basketball game until I was an alumni. Seriously. No. And I went to a game that Kim Anderson coached, and we got absolutely destroyed by A&M. And I said, nope, never again, and haven't been back. So
just making note for our intros next week about telling children they're adopted. All right, guys, end the show. Want to wrap it up there?
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody make sure to follow us on all the socials. Pod Ride the Pine. Kenny, you have something to say?
We haven't mentioned it, and I want to mention it, is that I really feel for the people of Oakland who are genuine A fans. Some of the videos and clips and signs coming out, there was an old guy who had a sign that said, "I was here for the first game, I'm here for the last." That's been really kind of, I want to say, upsetting. Emotional might not be it, but it struck a heartstring with me. think about those people in Oakland. It's never fun when a sports team leaves. The grounds crew guy who was retiring at the end of the year, handing dirt to people in bottles, but was crying because none of his staff is getting retained. They're all being fired. A lot of people lose their job.
Yep.
And you're talking about a guy who was handed a silver spoon and, as they say, was born on third base and woke up thinking he hit a triple. John Fisher is a huge piece of shit. Yes. And I do feel for the people of Oakland right now because their city, as much as St. Louis has gotten dumped on with the Rams leaving, Oakland has gotten it tenfold.
Yep.
And I do feel for those people.
100%. I'm glad that you mentioned it. John Fisher is one of the worst humans alive on the planet who just happens to have a fuck ton of money.
Is he related to Jeff Fisher in any way? Because they're both shitheads.
It would not surprise me. San Jose Earthquakes fans know all too well about Fisher. Oakland knows all too well about Fisher. Horrible human being. Hate seeing teams move, man. Hate it.
Yeah. It makes me appreciate the history we have with the Cardinals, because I don't think the DeWitts could ever move them without being murdered in the streets like they're Mussolini. Oh, and having somebody like a Tom Stillman who is a fantastic
even Dave Checketts. I mean, he's probably the one that saved us from losing the Blues.
Yeah.
And then he got out of it just 5, 6, 10 years ago, whatever it was.
There was a newsroom anchor in Oakland that went on a rant earlier today, or maybe it might have been yesterday. And he talked about how the players in the players union have an incredible opportunity because the team is going to be moving from Oakland and they're going to be playing the next couple of years in Sacramento. The players union could come out tomorrow and say, absolutely not. We're not doing that. We back our guys. You will not pull us out of this market. That would then force Major League Baseball to force Fisher to sell the team. There are plenty of billionaires, especially in the Oakland area, that I'm sure would be willing to have discussions to purchase the team.
Mm-hmm.
Will the players union do that? Do they feel like they even have that power? I don't know, man. But if we are to stop fans from getting their teams ripped out from under them, it's going to come down to the players not allowing that to happen, because fans it's been shown time and time again, fans can only do so much. The billionaires will be billionaires. They will get their way. We need support from the actual players and from the players unions.
Amen.
Yep. All right, let's get out of here. Pod Ride the Pine on all the socials. We'll see everybody next week. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.
Bye.